You almost get to this point when everything else doesn't matter. You enter this like trance state of mind where you're just focused on you and the task. You ever have these times where it feels like you're in a different world? What we call zoning out, psychologists call the flow state. Flow is a cognitive state where one is completely immersed in an activity. It involves intense focus, creative engagement, and the loss of awareness of time and self. Now, this was coined by Hungarian-American psychologist Mihaly
Csikszentmihalyi.
I'm not going to pronounce that name. Anyways, in the 1960s, he's found that when an artist was in the course of flow, they would persist at their task relentlessly, regardless of hunger or fatigue. Flow is the joy of doing something just for the sake of doing it. Joe thinks music is his purpose, but what's really going on is Joe is performing a task that brings him so much joy and happiness that he feels like he can't live without it. He gets such a chemical high that nothing compares to it except for the experience of living, which he finds out later on in the movie. In the real world, why are people obsessed with flow? Flow can be viewed as a precursor for optimal performance. For example, as an athlete improves in a skill via getting in the zone or the flow state of mind, their mastery improves. They can reach a peak performance of a certain skill or talent. But it can also be applied to education, the workplace, and other hobbies. Flow is kind of a delicate balance between the tension of anxiety and the tendium of boredom. Now, what do I mean by that? So I like to think of flow as channeling your anxious feelings and directing your nervous energy into a specific task. Now, speaking of anxiety, how does flow help us when it comes to mental health? Flow can be a tool used for better emotion regulation. When a person is in a state of flow, there is little need for doubt or anxieties about oneself or the world in general. Even the uncertainties of life fade away. And it's so crazy, like, when you get really stressed out, especially when you're dealing with struggles and you do something that you love, like going to the gym, writing music, whatever it is, like you almost get to this point when everything else doesn't matter. You enter this like trance state of mind where you're just focused on you and the task. You can enter flow multiple times throughout the day. Any activity or skill or hobby can be a means to achieve the flow state of mind. You can go about daily activities and dip into the flow when you're gardening, preparing a meal, or enjoying a good conversation with a friend. Generally, it takes about 15 minutes approximately to enter the flow state of mind. And once you're in the flow state of mind, it can last anywhere from 30 minutes to a couple of hours. And this is the secret weapon to feeling overly worried, having social anxiety, or dealing with stressful situations in general. And this is something that the movie Soul touches, but it also tells us that the flow state of mind isn't a cure for life's challenges. Being obsessed or trying too hard to reach the flow state can have a harmful effect. So I like to think of flow as a supplement and to help us recharge and energize us for overcoming life struggles. And instead of overly relying on it to escape life, you can actually experience the joy of getting in the flow. And as a result, just by completing a simple task, it reminds you that your mind and body are capable of being calm despite craziness and despite life's challenges. But that's just a brief video about the psychology of flow and how Soul teaches us that. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, you can give it a like. If you want to talk more down below, feel free to let me know. If you really enjoyed the video, you can share it and do all three. But as always, remember to stay mentally fit, emotionally fit, and physically fit. And I will see you all in the next video.